Good morning, Facebook world. How is everyone doing this morning? Um, I don't know where you are, but here it's super hot and has been super hot for a while now. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock and getting the dogs out for their run, and then we all hibernate in the house for the rest of the day. So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. Thank you for joining me on my Facebook Live this morning. As always, please feel free to ask questions in the comments. I will answer throughout the live. I will keep an eye on those comments. And if you are listening to the recording, I will regularly check back and answer any questions. For those of you on the call this morning, hello, thank you. And let me know where you're from. Let me know what kind of dog you have. Tell me your favorite thing about your dog. Um, I love getting to know the people who are listening to my calls. While we give a couple of minutes for people to join us, I want to chat about something I was thinking about this week. So, there's a fine line between forcing your dog to do something and training your dog to do something. There reaches a point in every dog's life where the dog has to understand that sometimes you're going to need them to do something, and um, it's not going to be optional. Good morning, Tammy. Yeah, I think it's hot in all of Ontario. Um, So what that means is, for example, you go to the vet, your dog sliced his paw open, the vet needs to check out his paw. You need to be able to hold him and allow the vet to check out his paw and him not freak out and panic. So at some point during your dog's training, ideally when they're a puppy, but obviously if you get them as an older dog or if you've missed that window, that's fine. You do this later. You have to start teaching them. Sometimes I'm going to have to hold you and you're not going to be thrilled and you're going to have to get over it. Otherwise, when they get injured and stuff like that, I had a neighbor's dog who cut his paw open and they had to sedate him completely to even check it because he was so reactive once they tried to hold him. So get into the habit of, I do stuff with my puppies, like I pick them up and I hold on to them till they're calm, and with puppies, that means a couple of seconds. I wouldn't do this with a full size adult dog. And then they never get put down till they're calm, and they're calm all the way to the floor. Because if you teach them, oh, every time you have a little panic or you try to wiggle to get down, I put you down. The day you don't put them down, they're going to start to panic harder. And then it's really easy to drop them. Whenever I have a small dog that I'm holding in my hands, I always have my finger through his collar so that if for whatever reason he panics or moves quickly and I go to drop him, I still have a hold of him. I have had a couple of clients whose dogs broke their legs when they fell out of their arms. They were like Pomeranian type dogs, little skinny legs. But nonetheless, you never want that to happen and you want your dog to understand sometimes I have to hold you and it's not optional. So, working on that, we were talking about crate training. I had a client this week who had some amazing successes and um, had some amazing successes, and I want to share those with you. So, when I am crate training either a puppy or an adult dog, and let me preface by saying this, the adult dog has to be relatively comfortable with having his collar grabbed and relatively comfortable with being moved by his collar and not freak out when they see the crate. A little panic is fine, but not a full climbing the walls panic. So, but this is like 90% of dogs. So what I do when I'm teaching them to go in the crate is I take them by the collar, I walk towards the crate, and I make sure to have a good hand hold, excuse me, a good hold of their collar. That means all the whole hand up to here into on their collar. If you get into the habit of holding their collars with two fingers, if they twist on you, it's really easy to break your fingers. So always when I grab a dog's collar, my whole hand is in it. And I walk towards the crate and I don't hesitate. I'm not going to discuss this with them. I'm going to walk towards the crate, and as I approach the crate, I put them right into the crate. As soon as their nose passes the plane of the door, I drop cookies in the back. Um, Usually the first couple of reps are ugly and the dog's like, "Oh, I hate you." And then after that they're like, "Oh, I jump into the crate, I get cookies. Oh, no problem." And then very, very quickly the dog starts moving into the crate. I babysat a friend's dog and she said, "Oh, he's really hard to get into the crate. You're going to have a hard time." And honestly, within 2 days he was running into the crate. So this client sent me a video, which unfortunately I can't get off Facebook, so I could share it with you. But 2 days later, she went from a dog who hated the crate, panicked whenever she tried to put him in, to a dog who was running 10 feet away from her into the crate. That is absolutely amazing and incredible. And it just goes to show sometimes when you communicate what you want properly to the dog, he didn't hate the crate. He somehow hated the going in the crate. But when you communicate properly to the dog what you want, um, the dogs get it so, so quickly. What I see a lot is people discuss going into the crate with their dogs. They stand at the door, crate, come on, go in your crate. Come on, go in your crate. And I think we all feel a little bit guilty about putting them in their crate. So we don't want to force it. And we've been told you can't force the dog to do anything. So we stand there. And then that area becomes poison because you're asking the dog to do something that he doesn't understand. And he gets more and more weird and more panicked about it. And then he starts to go, you know what? Every time we go near the crate, you talk a lot and I don't know what you want. So I'm going to leave. And now you're playing keep away with the dog, trying to get him in the crate every day. Um, I think you're asking the dog to you're giving the dog too many choices. So my goal when I take them and put them in the crate is I take away all the choices. This is what I want. As soon as your nose crosses that plane, you get some cookies. Within a few repetitions, and I mean a few for some dogs is going to be 3, a few for some dogs is going to be 10, depends on history, depends on sensitivities, all that stuff. The dog's like, oh, I go into the crate, I get cookies. I get this. And I'm going to post a video of my puppy Wicca. I started this with a puppy. Literally, I pick them up, I put them in the crate, and I throw cookies in front of them. So within a week, I'm putting them down half in, half out. So front feet in, back feet out. And what I'm looking for is them to make that choice of moving forward. And that's what I reward. And then a week later, I put them down. So all 4 feet are outside the crate and I'm looking for that choice. And with a puppy, I'm going to hold, just lightly hold her. So if she goes, well, what if I go sideways? I take away that choice, right? She can't make the mistake because I've just got a hold of her. But when she goes forward, I release her and I reward. So I'm not forcing them to do it. They're making a choice, but I'm taking away all the other possible choices so they can be heavily reinforced for the correct choice. So yeah, that's what dog training is all about. It's helping the dog, it's managing their environment and helping the dog make the right choice because we want them to make the right choice so we can reward the right choice. If you completely force them, it probably won't work. So people who are shoving their dogs in the crate and not rewarding them aren't building a behavior. And in fact, the dog is going to be probably insulted, for lack of a better word, that you're shoving them in the crate every day and it's going to again go back to playing keep away. I have been doing this for years like this and it works really well. So I'll just take a moment before I start. Does anybody have this problem with their dog playing keep away around the crate, not liking to go into the crate? Give me a message. And if not, I will keep going. Okay, so back to today's topic. Today I'm talking about fear and anxiety in dogs. And this is a huge topic, so I'm going to touch on it somewhat. And hopefully you get some information. And again, please feel free to ask questions. Last week, we talked about fear and leash reactivity. So that is the display of fear. This week, I'm talking about more what the dog is. And I hate to say feeling because that means we're guessing what the dog's feeling. But it's fearful dogs spend a lot of time being worried. It's like they're super paranoid. They walk around waiting to be, I don't know, the world to fall in on them. That's what it seems like. Of course, I'm not a dog, I'm guessing. But there's a lot you can do to help your dog become more comfortable and confident. And what I see is inadvertently, a lot of my clients are rewarding that fear behavior and actually making it worse. So we've all met dogs that are fearful. Hi, Sky. Yes, that's exactly it. They live in a state of constant fear. I feel so bad for these dogs because they're not comfortable in their own skin. Sky, let me know how old your dog is. Okay, so dogs that seem worried about things that make no sense, like Sky said, a leaf blowing by. Dogs that are scared or cautious of strangers, dogs that are terrified of other dogs, dogs that are fearful of new environments. The list goes on and on and on of things dogs can be scared of. Um, why are dogs like this? There's always the argument of nature versus nurture. This means how much genetics versus training and experiences plays a part in how the final adult acts. Um, Honestly, both play a large part. I think how much each plays is different for every single dog, but you can never forget the importance of genetics. Um, so Sky, I'm going to talk about this a little later in the Facebook Live, but especially if he's just recently become weirded out by leaves blowing by, he could be in a fear period. My 5-year-old border collie, I swear, spent from 1 to 2 completely in a fear period the whole time. He was just super uber paranoid of everything and worried. Keep listening and I'll give you some information on how you're going to start working on this. Okay, back to genetics. Um, just going to talk about this for a few minutes. People get dogs from all over the place. And this is one of the reasons I recommend people go to good breeders. And by good breeders, I'm talking about breeders that do health testing, that you get to meet siblings. Lots of people are breeders, but they don't do all the stuff that I want when I go buy a dog. If you want to go buy a rescue, that's fine, but understand it's a roll of the dice. Nice part about rescues, if you get an adult, within a couple of weeks, you get to see the adult you have. With a puppy, it's always a bit of a crapshoot. I have seen well-bred dogs with not the greatest temperament, but more likely is you get what you breed. I have had so many clients that I feel so bad because they say, oh yeah, the mother was really shy and now the puppy's a mess. Yeah, you know what? You tend to get what you bred. Be very careful when you're getting a dog. If you do meet the mother and ideally the father, and they're not comfortable, happy go lucky puppies, then you want to seriously think about picking a different puppy. Um, yeah, see, Sharon, 8 months old, definitely hitting that huge fear period. Um, and we're going to talk more about it. But you want to start building confidence, which is exactly what this Facebook Live is about. Um, Sky, did you get him as a puppy? Just curious. Okay, so this is the thing about talking about genetics. It is only a useful conversation if you haven't gotten your dog yet. Now that you have your dog, you have your dog. So it doesn't really matter. You're going to work with what exactly you have. Um, um, so Sky, I see your question, and you've got to be really careful that when he gets nervous, you go up to him and say, "Oh, it's okay," or "Thank you," or anything like that, because some dogs will take this as you're reinforcing the fear. Oh, yeah, you're right. There's something to be scared of. We should be cautious of that person you're barking at or that leaf that's blowing by. We should be worried. Okay, keep listening. We'll talk more about it. Okay, here's the thing about genetics. Once the dog is yours, he's yours. There's nothing you can do about it. So this is where you have to think about nature, meaning experience and training, and how you can start modifying your dog's behavior and helping him become more confident. Bad experience sometimes, there are two reasons dogs are fearful: a bad experience or lack of experience. Bad experiences happen sometimes and we don't even see them happening because they're so minor. For example, I know a dog that is terrified of brooms. She has never been beaten or threatened with a broom. Nothing bad's ever happened with a broom that we know of, but nonetheless she is terrified. I would guess that when she was in a fear period, and I'll talk more about that in a minute, a broom probably dropped near her or landed on her. and startled her. And this causes like a scar in her brain, a psyche. I guess you could call it PTSD, right? Because that's inability to get over something that happened. For the rest of her life, she was terrified of brooms. Um, and sometimes you can use these things to great advantage. Like for her, she didn't need baby gates. If you didn't want her to cross into another room, you put a broom down on the entryway, and that was it. She would totally not cross into that room. So sometimes you can use these things to be very handy. But the thing about these fears is every time you can get your dog over them, you're building confidence. Interesting enough, this dog did eventually get over her fear of brooms doing scent work. Um, this is how I tend to deal with fear. I give the dog something else to focus on. When a dog or even a human is scared of something, we focus on it. Picture walking down a road and there's a scary person or what you perceive to be a scary person walking towards you. You're going to keep a very close eye on that person. Someone could have come out of an alley beside you, and you are so focused on that person, you don't even notice the person coming out of the alley. Um, but when the brain is working on something, you've got to engage the brain. And as soon as you engage the brain, the focus has to come off whatever it is that's scary. You're kind of outsmarting the brain. So, um, sorry, lost my place. So when she was doing scent work, her brain was looking for odor. We had built value. She had learned looking for odor is rewarding, looking for odor is rewarding, looking for odor is rewarding. So now when there was a broom in the room, at first she was like, but there's a broom. Oh yeah, looking for odor is rewarding. And she was able at first to find a hide near the broom. And eventually she worked up to being able to find a hide on the broom. And eventually the broom was irrelevant. She no longer went, oh, there's a broom. She just went, oh, there's brooms sometimes in this room where we do scent work or wherever we do scent work, and I don't have to be worried. So now the broom lost its power. So that you can apply, that's how I work through all my fear cases. I apply that the ability to do skills in the area where the fearful thing is, and then they slowly get over the fearful thing. Um, So let's take a moment, let's go back a moment and talk about fear periods. Fear periods happen to dogs depending on what you read, anywhere from 8 weeks to 2 years old. I have heard them, it says that they can last a week to a few weeks. And now I'm reading that they can last much longer than that. Um, like I said, my 5-year-old border collie, I'm pretty sure he was in a fear period for like a year. These fear periods are times when your puppy is extremely sensitive to bad experiences. You may notice these fear periods with your dog being scared of something that they were totally fine with a week ago. At around 7 months, their defense drives also kick in. So, whoever had the 8-month-old Golden. And this gives you like a double whammy. The defense drive seems to kick in super hyper drive. So, all of a sudden, stuff that they would probably as an adult not really care about or might go, hey, look, there's something there. All of a sudden, they're barking their fool heads off. So, on top of the fear periods, you see how we start getting all these behaviors. And how you deal with these behaviors at that age is what's going to happen to them as an adult. What you're trying to do is get them through the fear periods without creating any long-standing fear or long-standing behaviors. For example, your dog is scared of somebody coming out of a building. You know, it startles him, he barks, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, quiet. And this happens. So a couple of times. So now what happens is the dog is sees the person, it puts them into a state of fear. You correct them, it puts them into a higher state of fear. And you keep building this. So now it becomes, oh, when people come out of buildings, I bark at it. So now it's become a habit. So this is what you want to try to avoid. And of course, if at all possible, but you can't control the world, you want to try to avoid anything scarring their psyche, anything leaving a lasting impression. Um, Let me give you an example. I have a 10-year-old border collie who loves people, loves everybody and always has its entire life. It was my biggest challenge when he was a puppy to teach him to pay attention to me and um, to pay attention to me and not pay attention to everybody else. When Iggy was about 8 months old, we went camping. I was walking down the road between the sites. It was kind of, dark how it is when you're camping because you're all in and out of shadows. And people from a campsite came out to greet us. Iggy is that dog that, again, my biggest challenge was getting him not to jump on people, not to pull towards people. He was never that dog that was worried. But I don't know what happened that day, but he was 7 months old or 8 months old. He started to panic bark and got behind me. I was in shock. This was my super friendly dog. Of course, like people always do, these people kept trying to make friends with him. Oh, it's okay, puppy. Come on out and say hello. The problem with that is it usually freaks your puppy out even more. Luckily, my brain kicked in and I got us out of there. Um, all weekend long, that set the tone for the weekend. He was barking at people coming out from behind buildings. He was barking at everything. And I was just, every time I just walked him out of the picture. I was like, yeah, okay, let's just move away. Not allowing him to continue to bark, but not making a huge deal of it. Finally, towards the end of the weekend, the afternoon we were leaving, I walked by some people sitting in their chairs, and they were like, "Oh, he's that worried, scared dog. Oh, it's so sad." And I was like, "Yeah, no, not really, but okay." Um, and I asked them to stay in their chairs and not move and just chat with me. So this is what I do whenever I'm working with a fearful dog. It has to be their choice. So we stood there for a while, and Iggy hung out right next to me. And then eventually his natural curiosity starts to take over, and he started to go towards the people. As long as they stayed in their chairs chatting, nothing scared him, so he kept going. Once he got to them and smelled them and remembered how much he loved people, he jumped on their lap and was kissing their faces. And then that was fine. It was over. He was fine with everyone we met after that. But it's taking that moment and giving your dog the opportunity to overcome their fear. How quickly that'll happen remains to be seen. All his socializing before this is what helped him get over it. I don't know when the sight of a person scared him, why it startled him. That would have probably been the fear period. But once he went, oh, people, I remember that, the socializing kicked in and helped him overcome his fear. So the things I want you to take from that example are giving them a moment to get over it, and then the socializing, the constantly building good experiences will also help him get over it. So if you're giving him a moment, I never let him sit there and bark and go crazy. For information on how I work through that, go back to last week's and the week before's Facebook Lives where I talk about the leash reactivity. Okay, I want to check some of these comments. Okay, my puppy seems scared of vehicles. Sharon, can you give me some more information of that? Does he jump backwards away from the vehicle? Is he chasing the vehicles? Sky, yes, without a doubt, especially you were saying how you had to put a dog down. If your other dog was more confident than this dog, I see that a lot that um, they follow. So the less confident dog follows the more confident dog and never makes choices on their own. They're always following the other dog's choices. Oh, you think they're safe? Okay, they must be safe. I'll keep walking. So as soon as you take that dog away, your dog that you're having a problem with may not know how to do stuff on his own. Could he be lonely? Yeah, it's possible. Definitely, there's some dogs who have never um, been alone, so don't know how to be alone. But you would know, I rarely see that as fear. You would probably see it in the house as moping, for lack of a better word. Um, okay, Sharon. Yes, jumping on leash is definitely something. It's a learned behavior. I in my training program, we have all sorts of games we play to teach our dogs not to jump on leash. So I disagree with you. Social distancing is the best thing ever because now I can take my dog out in public and people don't feel the need to come over and touch her. My current puppy, who's almost 5 months old, is like my 10-year-old who's super friendly and loves everyone. My goal in life is not that my dog want to pull towards everybody they see. My goal in life is my dog not care about people they see. So social distancing keeps people away so I can work on, hey, look at you watching those people go by calmly and reward that behavior. And then when she's calm, I can try approaching with people I want to, who I know are going to help me make this behavior better. Lunging can be fear and can also be motion. Dogs all have prey drive to some extent. So when things move quickly, they chase, cars move quickly. So again, Sharon, go back to my previous Facebook Lives. I give some information on the Get It game, which is how I'd start working on the pulling and the lunging. And yeah, Vicky, that's so great. She's getting better. If it were me, I would want to eliminate that bark. I would not reward that bark by letting her go in and smell. Because to me, she's going, this is, you're building a behavior chain. I see people, I bark, then I go in and smell them. Well, I'm like, no, you don't go in and smell them because that is rewarding till you're calm. So if you can't do it without being calm, then I'm not going to let you move forward. You're probably going to never get rid of that barking until you get to that level. Okay. So you can give your dog enough good experiences so that one episode scar will be surrounded by good experiences. This is when socializing comes into play. Socializing is giving your dog experiences, many, many experiences. I get people say, oh, my dog socialized. He's met 3 dogs. 3 dogs is not socializing. 3 dogs is 3 dogs. Dogs are one of the many things on my list of socializing. Um, Smells, people, everything is socializing. Cars, trucks, um, air guns, like mechanics. So I'll go stand outside a garage and listen to them do the air gun. Stuff like that. It's all socializing. If you are interested to learn more about socializing, I have a free handout. Um, I will put the link in the comments on top of the replay, and you can follow that link to get that free handout. As you go through these experiences, there are going to be things that your dog is not sure about. Your goal is always to build confidence. Be careful of falling into the, oh, you shouldn't be scared of this trap. And you know what? It happens to me, and I do this for a living. Sometimes I'm like, you're fine. And my dog is clearly saying, but I'm not. Um, Anytime you say you should, for you, for your dog, for anybody, you got to really question where that's coming from. Learn to watch your dog and accept what he is telling you. Doesn't matter what you think he should or shouldn't be scared of. For example, I live out in the country, and about 10 years ago, we started getting garbage pickup. We hadn't had garbage pickup until that time. I had 2 Akitas at the time, and we walked down the street every single day at some point, and there had never been a garbage can. Um, and especially with guard dogs, they notice differences. That's what they're supposed to do. This is not normal. This is different. Good morning, Tammy. How are you? Um, so the garbage cans came out, and my dogs both were like, ooh, bark, bark. What is that? Why is that on my road? So whenever something, an inanimate object, scares my dog, I don't try to make the dog go over. I don't use cookies to lure the dog because almost guaranteed you're going to end up luring the rewarding the fear and not the confidence, not the courage. So I go and chat with the garbage can, and literally I stand there and go, "Hey, how are you? How's it going? Look at that. Isn't it nice we're getting garbage pickup?" And I pretty well ignore the dog, which is exactly what I do with new people. I pretty well ignore my dog and I chat with the people. With people, I will only do this if they can keep their hands to themselves. That means they don't try to say hi to my dog. They don't try to pet my dog. They just stand there and chat with me. This gives your dog an opportunity to, and remember, I did the same thing with Iggy with the people in the chairs. This gives the dog an opportunity to let their natural curiosity take over, to make their natural curiosity go, hey, who's she talking to? Maybe they smell good. And as soon as they take a step, I will reward that. I don't let other people feed my dog. I just find they step into them too much. It just doesn't work. So I will reward them for moving forward. So the treat goes ahead of their face. So they continue to reward where they're going. So yeah, if my dog steps towards the person, awesome, he gets rewarded. If he takes another step, awesome. If he starts to smell the person, awesome. Honestly, once your dog is smelling the person, the smells are probably rewarding enough because dogs get so much information and rewards from smelling. That is probably enough. Just the fact that they're standing there smelling a person. So so the biggest thing here is you can't drag them over. You can't lure them over. You just have to be patient and let them figure it out on their own. And you know what? If they don't, that's fine. You do it again and again and again. So some dogs might hide behind you when you're talking to someone. If they're at the end of the leash behind you trying to get away, you're too close. I don't care what it is, you're too close. So you back away and chat with them from 30 feet away if necessary, or you just stand there and watch them. Like someone, I'll do it at like a store where I can stand 30 feet away and people are walking by. You're always letting your dog tell you what level you're at. The biggest thing I see is people have to help. Come on, buddy. Come on. You can do this. It's okay. You can do this. Come on. You got to really be careful of that because that gets really annoying to the dog. And I find makes them less likely to want to move forward. I'll give you a human example. Have you ever been on a swing bridge? It's a bridge made of planks and ropes, and it swings when you walk over it, and it's usually hundreds of feet over some little river or creek or whatever. I did it once. It was terrifying and exhilarating. To put this in perspective, I am terrified of heights. But I also seem to love to push myself out of my comfort zone, and somehow that's fun for me. Um, but if someone was standing there saying, "You can do it, come on, you can do it, come on, let's go, you've got this," I'm pretty sure I would have gotten over my fear and put them over the bridge because I know myself when I'm trying to overcome a fear, I need to take a deep breath. I need to have conversations with myself and I need to take one step at a time. And each step rewards to the next step. And sometimes I make it 3 steps out and go, I'm done and back away. And that's fine. But if I approach this every day, I will eventually get over the bridge because I know I took 3 steps and nothing bad happened. Um, so that's what you got to think about with a dog. You can't force them, you can't push them. There is nothing you can do for them other than to be there to support and reward. And sometimes you don't even need to reward, just the simple act of doing it is rewarding enough. But it gives you something to do to be able to reward, which I find doing nothing is really, really hard for us. Um, so I'm going to post a video and it's a little Jack Russell named McKinley, and we were out socializing our young puppies the other day, and we found a graded bridge. And there was traffic going by, so it made a lot of noise on the graded bridge, but the walkway we had to walk over was graded. Um, my puppy had no problem. I had a much harder time with it and had to take a bunch of deep breaths than she did. The puppy I was with, McKinley, had a really hard time, and his owner did great. She would move forward, so encouraging, supporting. She never tightened the leash, and she rewarded every step. And you could see every single step was such a big, huge step for him. His little paws would spread out, and he was like, "Okay, I got this. Okay, I got this. Okay, I got this." Very slowly and steadily. So yeah, it was a great view of him building confidence. And every time you can put your dog in that situation and they overcome it, they're going to have the tools for the next situation to overcome that situation. And that's all fear is. All these worried dogs, the more you can get them to overcome, the better they get. My 5-year-old dog who is fearful is stuff he couldn't do at a year and a half at 3, 4 years old, no problem because I just kept slowly, methodically exposing him to the world and building confidence, exposing him and building confidence. Um, so, so far, I've talked a lot about puppies. I want to talk about adult dogs. Um, Keep in mind what I said that bad experiences can be anything. And a bad experience that will mentally scar one dog will not mentally scar another dog. So you can't really say this dog came from this situation, so he's never going to be okay. And you could take a dog that really wasn't in that bad or what we perceive as not that bad a situation, and he is not going to ever be okay. Um, Lack a lot of times what I work with is lack of socializing. A dog who was in a house and a backyard, never really left, and especially when you're talking your guarding breeds, your shepherds, your rotties, your dopes, your Akitas, um, that does that really makes a huge difference on how they behave in the real world. So my second Akita was a little girl named Hudson, and I got her as an adult. She was found wandering in the bush. She was given up. They eventually found the owner. It was one of these. It was owned. She was owned by a 16-year-old boy, and he went away for the weekend. The mother dumped the dog in the bush. So not a great home. Um, she wasn't abused, I don't think. I think she was neglected, and she was definitely not socialized. So Akitas are not loud, barky type dogs. But you could tell she was uncomfortable. When I'd had her a couple of weeks, a little girl came up and started petting her, and she gave a low growl. So that all started, okay, we've got to build this dog's confidence and not put her in situations where she feels she needs to growl. Please always remember you never correct a growl. A growl is a warning sign. It tells you I'm uncomfortable. If you correct the growl, the day you go too far, and the dog gets pushed past that comfort level of the growl, they could go straight to a bite. So it's your warning system. A growl is okay, that's telling me you're uncomfortable. What do I have to do to change it? So she was uncomfortable with strangers. She's an Akita, so never going to be super friendly, but I wanted her to be not uncomfortable. I had parties with 30, 40 people, and I actually encouraged the company to reward the dog. So if she came over and said hello, they would hand her a piece of food. And then it was a party. So they were busy. These weren't dog people. So only one person had to be constantly reminded not to touch the dog. And I actually kept the dog with me a lot because of this person. But it was a bunch of guys, and most of the guys were just like, here's a cookie and walk away, which is exactly what I wanted. Um, Within a couple of those parties, and also keep in mind, she never became obnoxious over food. She never started jumping on the table. She never started jumping on the people. She just wasn't that dog. She'd just calmly come over, hey, how are you? They would feed her a cookie. She'd walk away. It was the perfect socializing environment for this dog. It is how she learned to accept people. A couple of years later, you could take her anywhere, do anything with her. In fact, I had her walking through Chinatown in Toronto, her little tail up, her little head up, just prancing along. Um, you could tell she had no need for strangers to talk to her or touch her, which some dogs, my border collies, for example, love strangers talking to them and touch them. So that's really rewarding. But with Hudson, she didn't care. She would go up to the person, smell them. If they had food, she'd stick around. And if they didn't, she'd walk away. She was hilarious. Okay. So even adult dogs are fixable to some extent. As soon as you start getting into adults or not great temperaments, the dog may not be the dog you were hoping for. You can always make it better than it is. But Hudson was never going to go to a dog who was like, oh, it's a stranger, and run over and be pet. She was never going to be that dog. That was just the dog she was. And this is why acceptance is a big part of working with a fearful or aggressive dog. You have to accept what your dog is. Lastly, I want to talk about dogs with serious bad experiences and or really messed up temperaments. Like I said earlier, keep in mind that a dog's history does not predict his fear or his reactivity. I have seen dogs come out of horrible situations with awesome temperaments who are still like perfectly fine with people. And I have seen dogs that were brought up perfectly fine who were seriously aggressive. So, again, that is temperament, and it's always that combination. Anytime you are working with a truly fearful dog, you have to be realistic. I've seen too many people adopt dogs that were dangerous through no fault of their own. It is never the dog's fault. I am not saying it's the dog's fault, but it is the dog that is. Um, some of these dogs can be rehabilitated, and a lot of them can, but you also have to remember, is it something you're willing to take on? So, can you do it is the question. First consideration is family and living environment. Can you keep your dog and other people safe? And yourself. Some people I've seen keep dogs that they were scared of. As soon as you're scared of the dog, I truly believe you cannot keep the dog because you're going to get hesitant and weird about stuff happening, and the dog is going to sense that, and you're going to end up in a situation where the dog could potentially bite you, or at least you think he could bite you, and you shouldn't have to live in that level of fear all the time. Um, if you live in an apartment building where you have to take an elevator to get in and out, yeah, no, you can't keep that dog. If you have children, I strongly say no. Kids are kids, dogs are dogs. The management required to have an aggressive dog um, has to be done well. And kids are kids and dogs are dogs, and mistakes will happen. Second consideration is, do you have the time in your life for this? Having a fearful dog takes work. Um, you may not have company over for a few months, or you may have to be prepared to put your dog in another room or out in a kennel. I had a friend who had to put her dog out in the garage because he was not safe with strangers. And they were very social, liked to have people over, but you always feel bad. So you have to be prepared for that. Um, you've got to remember that a really reactive dog will be hard, if not impossible, to kennel or leave with someone else. So that means you can't go anywhere without your dog for a long time, or possibly the life of the dog. Um, you will spend a lot of your life thinking about the dog, working with the dog, learning about the dog, and that takes time. So, if you just started, if you have a job that you travel a lot, or you just started to work on your PhD, this might not be the time to have this dog. This might be more than your life can handle at the moment. Next, do you have the resources? Working with a fearful dog will take money. Money for trainers, money for vets if drugs are necessary. Um, it's part of the equation, and you have to be prepared for that. And last, but very much not least, is it the kindest thing for the dog? Fearful dogs are fearful. They live in a constant state of fear. That's not a good state to live in. Um, when they react, sometimes I go on the aggressive dog list and I see people, oh, my dog's reacting for this and that and the other thing. You got to remember, when they react, it's traumatizing every single time. If this is happening on a regular basis, that dog's in a constant state of arousal because you're making it worse. So there's such a thing called threshold. Threshold is the line at which your dog reacts. Your goal when you're working with any reactivity is to drop that threshold. The only way to drop that threshold is to make the dog feel safe. And that happens when you don't let him react. So his adrenaline starts to drop, his cortisol, all those high stress chemicals in the body start to lower, and that makes him much more able to deal with things. So you can train. Think about you. If you're overstressed and stuff keeps happening and stacking, you get less and less able to make good choices. When you're calm and have had a good night's sleep, maybe a great weekend away, you are much more capable of making good choices. Your dog is exactly the same. So if you can't get your dog to get under threshold because you can't manage the environment, or the dog is that reactive, is that a good way for your dog to live? Is that a good state? Having worked with a number of fearful dogs, my own and clients, one of the most rewarding things in the world is watching your dog improve. I won't lie, it's amazing. Having your dog accomplish something that at one time you thought was impossible, like walking into a room full of dogs or walking down a busy street. But you pay for this with a lot of work and emotional pain. There are highs and there are lows. Working with a reactive dog is definitely a roller coaster. The problem with, and when you're dealing with a bite history, you've got to always remember, if you screw up, a bite can happen. And this puts an incredible amount of stress on you. And of course, if you are scared of the dog, then again, like I said earlier, I say it's a strong no of keeping that dog. Before I end this presentation, I want to leave you with this. Any dog, when put into the wrong situation, will bite. Please always remember that. I have so many people that put their dogs in situations to say, oh, my dog will never bite. Yeah, your dog will bite. Every dog will bite. Protect your dog. Don't allow your dog to get pushed to his limits. Don't let anyone else discover those limits. I understand my dog's limits so that I can protect them. I am constantly watching my dog if I have company, especially company I don't know, or if I have kids over when my dog's not used to them, when I'm out in public. I am watching the dog and seeing, oh yeah, he's getting. I had a Siberian who who could last for a while with company, but then probably needed to be put in the crate and take a break for a half hour, and then he could be let back out because he just got too high. You just got to see that happening. Um, your dog is acting the best he can on what his life has taught him to this point. That's all he can do. But you don't want to be wearing rose colored glasses and put your dog in a situation where someone could get injured. Fear aggression is serious and will usually continue to escalate, leading to more potentially dangerous situations. This is one of those dog training problems that you must get professional help with. That could be me coaching you online. That could be a local dog trainer. That could even mean sending your dog away. The bottom line is if you are experiencing leash reactivity issues, seek professional help now. Don't put it off. It'll only get worse. I'm going to take a few minutes here to start talking about my reactive dog program, which I offer both in person and to students online through video courses, live chats, phone calls, video chats, and video review. So if you're interested, let me know. Our reactive dog program consists of the following. Build the skills you will need to be successful. Remember how I talked about getting the dog to work, to follow instructions is how I work through fear. Well, you've got to have really good skills so that when you say sit or down or come or spin, your dog goes, oh, I know that. Not, oh, I have to say sit 5 times before my dog will sit. Create environments to practice with. I've been doing this a long time and I've really learned how to manage my world to have success. And that's what you need. You need to learn how to manage your dog's world to be successful. Acceptance. I talked about this a little earlier. You need to accept who and what your dog is right now. That doesn't mean you can't change it. It means you have to accept who your dog is right now. That will give you the necessary information you need to know what he can handle and what he cannot. Building confidence. We talked about that today is constantly creating situations where your dog is going to improve in confidence, and every step gives your dog tools for the next step. How to integrate into the real world. A lot of my dogs I work with, I have them step away from the real world for a while we teach the necessary skills, and then how to integrate back. So my goal in life is for your dog to be able to walk down the street and you not to have to be worried that every single thing is going to set them off. It's not, my goal is not to create a dog that is well managed. My goal is to create a dog that can do it. And always what to do when it all goes wrong. You need an SOP, standard operating procedure, when it all goes to crap. So you can right away react appropriately to end the episode as quickly as possible and not make it worse. We only take clients that we can help, plain and simple. I assess the dog owner as much as the dog when it comes to applications and enrollments into our reactive dog program. I don't do open enrollment. After 20 years of getting results for reactive dog owners as a professional dog trainer, I know that without a dedicated, hardworking, and patient dog owner, the dog half of the team doesn't stand a chance. I am looking for owners who are tired of dealing with the reactive dog and know there is a better way. Owners who are open-minded, ready to learn new things, and become better dog trainers. Owners who love their dog and want to help them be better. So if this describes you and you're ready to finally reach your goals with your dog, like take your dog camping, go for a walk in the park, go to a class, learn a dog sport, live life with your dog in harmony, give me a shout. We'll have a chat and see if we can work together. Join us next week. Before I sign off, I'm going to look at the last questions. Sharon, all puppies jump. if your dog is jumping at you, you are reinforcing the jumping. Um, so Sharon, if you're still with us, is she jumping on you, or are you talking about her jumping on strangers or other people, not people living in your house? So while I'm sitting here looking at the comments, does anybody have any questions? We talked about a lot of information. Do you have a fearful dog that you want to ask a question about? Give that a couple of minutes. Have a little drink while we wait. Okay, so like I said, oh, Sharon's back. Me and other people. Okay, so let's just talk about you. Let's talk about jumping. Um, Jumping is a learned behavior. When dogs jump on us, we interact with them. We say get down, we say get off, then there's the whole grab their front paws, there's touch them, push them, blah, blah, blah. Anytime when your dog jumps on you, he wants your attention. Anytime you look at him, touch him, talk to him, you are giving him attention. If every time your dog jumps on you, you turn around and walk away, usually within 2 to 3 weeks, your dog will get the idea that this is not working. The only thing that works is coming up and staying on all 4 feet. So if my puppy comes up to me and jumps, literally, I just turn around and walk away. There's no discussion. Sharon, how old's your puppy? I can't remember if you told me. Oh, 8 months. You have the 8-month-old golden, right? Yeah. So very much start with yourself and think about how this looks for you. Your dog comes up. When does she jump? Um, does she jump all the time? Does she jump when you're about to go for a walk? Does she jump when you're making her dinner? When does she jump? Um, So once you can answer that, then you can start looking at individual. Okay, so when I pick up her dinner bowl to fill it with kibble, she starts jumping on me. So you could, and depending how bad it is and how patient I am, is what I do in this situation. I want to teach my dog. So my dogs understand they eat in their kennels. So my dog is 5 months old. She still gets put in her kennel. I get her dinner ready and then I feed her in her kennel. So by the time she starts having a little more house freedom, as soon as I pick up their bowls, my dogs all run into their crates. Okay, so when you come home, okay, this one's a tough one because what do we do when we come home, especially when we have an 8-week-old puppy? Puppy, how are you? We get them all excited. So I want you to start. You come home, you walk through the door, you go to the bathroom, you go into the kitchen, you get a drink of water, and you never pay attention to your dog till she has 4 feet on the ground. So that the first time will probably take a half hour. So you have to come in prepared to do this. Now, at 8 months old, golden retriever, this might not, so ignoring as a way of training any behavior is great till it's not. That means if when you turn away from your 8-month-old golden retriever, she climbs your back and starts scratching you, you can't ignore that. So then I would suggest you walk in the door and you put her in her crate, and I would have built value for the crate. And you wait half hour, an hour till she's calm, and then let her loose and say hello. Or another thing you could do is walk in the house and put her in the backyard. So walk through the door, go all the way to the backyard, open the back door, and throw cookies out in the backyard. So now your dog, instead of jumping on you, as soon as you walk through the door, is going to head to the backyard, to the patio door, I'm guessing, and wait for you to let her out. Now you've created a new behavior attached to you coming in the house. Then you can give her 20 minutes outside or 10 minutes, whatever it takes for her to be calm at the door. Then you can let her in and say hello. So for other people, when my dog meets other people, I'm standing on their leash so they physically cannot jump. And there's a couple of other games we play. If you go on my puppy group, which I will post in the comments, make myself a note. There's some videos of me playing games with my puppy, teaching her not to jump. Okay, so you don't have a fence. Can you put her in her crate then? Uh, like my dog jumps on you to try and hump you, even though he's fixed. He's 11 months, so we got him a week ago. Okay, Allie, there would be a pile of crating with this dog. So are you crate training this dog? Humping is a sign of overexcitement. Your dog, um, so Sharon tried the crate. I would just walk in, put her in her crate, give her cookies in the crate, wait a half hour, and then let her out when she's calm. Or him, sorry. Allie, I would say your dog is super excited and has no idea whatsoever how to greet people. Um, and he's 11 months old and you've had him a week. He knows nothing. So I would start with crating him and waiting till he's calm to let him out of a crate. And then maybe he could have a leash on before you let him out of the crate so you can stand on it. You wait till he's calm and then you greet him. Okay, Allie, I would start with crate training this dog. Is it a big dog, Allie? Great, Sharon. Let us know how it goes. Comment. Okay, I'm gonna sign off, but Allie, Sharon, it sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on, and she's 8 months old. Um, so she has no self-control and no understanding of how to be calm. Watch the puppy videos that I posted on how to raise a puppy in a pandemic. But yeah, you might consider taking some lessons with me. Sounds like there's a lot going on where she's super stimulated all the time. I would suggest we start looking at how to teach her calm behaviors. How much exercise is she getting? Is she getting enough? Is she getting too much? How to start every day teaching her what you're expecting. Was right now it sounds like she's heading to the crazy, out of control, and because you're going to react because you have no choice, she's going to start getting worse. um, okay, so Allie, I would say go out and buy a crate today and start working on crate training and calm behaviors. When you adopt a new rescue dog, it is you have a month. It's called the honeymoon period where the dog is not full dog yet as he gets used to the world. I like to put in all my control behaviors in that month. So when they come out of that month, they already have skills in place. The first thing I'd be teaching this dog is how to be calm. Now, before, because almost guaranteed he will get worse, not better, as the weeks progress. So I'd be teaching calm behaviors super a lot. Like, you know, calm before coming out of the crate, calm before getting fed, calm before walking out the door, calm. A lot of these dogs, what happens is people get puppies and oh, it's so exciting. We just have a puppy and he's climbing on our head and it's okay. And then all of a sudden they're 6, 7 months old. They're full blown adolescents. They're a pain in the butt to live with, and people give them up to rescue. So that's the average rescue that comes in. Not saying he's a bad dog, but I would take this opportunity of having a brand new dog in a brand new situation and start putting in controls. You know what? If you don't need those controls, it's easy to get rid of them later. It's really hard to add them in after the fact. He's already showing you he gets super stimulated and doesn't know how to control himself. So again, maybe message me and we can talk about this further. So Rachel, your dog jumping and putting his arm in your mouth is fine as long as you don't mind. If you do, then the stuff I said to Sharon still applies. Um, you are reinforcing the behavior. Not sure the size of your dog. So again, not sure ignoring him will be an option. You may have to go to redirection to a crate or outside. Um, yeah. So Debbie with your poodle. I never give people treats to give my dog because if you go back, oh, I think 3 Facebook Lives ago, I talked about how you are reinforcing the barking because your dog barks and then you walk up and go, here you go, here's a cookie. Um, yeah, listen to the Facebook Lives I've done previously, but definitely something you need to work on. Um, yeah, so Debbie, again, message me. I think this is past what I can answer just quickly. Message me and we can talk further about this and see where we can go from there. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off. Our next Facebook Live will be next Friday, July 17th at 10 a.m. We are going to talk about mindset and how your mindset is affecting your dog training. Have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you all back next week. Bye, guys. Thank you so much.